This is the Jerry Callahan Show.
Well, it is Monday, August 26, 2024, a solemn day in America, or at least it should be. 3 years ago today, Joe Biden wanted to withdraw from Afghanistan, something Trump wanted to do, Obama wanted to do, and Joe Biden wanted to be the guy. And he wanted to do it before 9/11, before September 11th. So it was rushed, poorly planned, and it ended up disastrous. 13 U.S. servicemen and women were blown up by a suicide bomber. About 150 Afghans were killed in the attack. It was one of the most disgraceful days in U.S. history, one of the real black marks for our country on this day. And to commemorate the occasion, Donald Trump went to Arlington National Cemetery and laid wreaths with the families of the survivors. It was a moving ceremony, as it always is. Arlington Cemetery is an amazing place. I can't recommend it enough. I've been there many times. Anytime I'm in D.C., I make it a point to go there, walk around. You don't need a tour guide or anything. You can just wander around. You have to watch the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. You have to watch that ceremony. It will take your breath away. It's an incredible place. And today, it's a sad place, a solemn place. And this is where the President of the United States belongs today. This is where the Vice President of the United States belongs today, especially considering it was their decision. Joe Biden made the decision because he wanted to brag and boast that he's the guy that got us out of Afghanistan. And the last person in the room when Joe Biden made this ill-fated decision was his vice president. And she approved it, supported it. And today she's running away from it like she's running away from everything. This is just an incredible moment. We don't have a president. We have a vice president who is running away from a record and running away from the media and the voters, who is hiding 36 days since she was anointed the successor to Joe Biden, and not a press conference, not a real interview, no questions, none. That is the strategy. We know why. She's incapable of taking questions. She's not bright enough. She's not prepared enough. She can't do it. And she has the full support of the mainstream media, who are now encouraging her to continue to hide, continue to run from her record. She is the candidate who's going to fix the economy while sitting in the office of the vice president and casting votes, tie-breaking votes that led to our dismal economy. That's where we are right now. Trump's at Arlington National. Joe Biden's on the beach taking another vacation. We have no president. He went from squatting in some billionaire's home in California, and now he's in Rehoboth Beach, sleeping, napping, doing whatever he's doing as Kamala hides and Trump honors our fallen heroes. This would be a big deal, but the media won't cover it. The media is committed, 100% committed to defeating him and electing her. They won't tell you that she is entirely unfit, unqualified for the job. They don't care. Her supporters don't care. They just don't like this guy. They don't care that she is a radical San Francisco liberal with radical San Francisco policies. They're going to tell you she's a moderate. She's a centrist. They're going to look you in the eye and lie to you in service to one candidate over another. Look at this. We're watching it right now. If you're watching along with us, this is the job of a president. This is a job of the commander-in-chief to be there for this today. And it's an easy job, as I say all the time. Joe Biden is terrible at the job, and he is especially bad at the easy parts of the job. You show up, you lay a wreath, you shake some hands, you console these people who are grieving still for their loved ones whom you got killed. You got their children, their husbands, their wives killed. And you don't have the guts, the decency to show up for them. Kamala Harris has never spoken to any of the Gold Star families from this day, 3 years ago today, at the Kabul airport. She's never reached out to them. She's never met with them. She doesn't care. And they're going to try to tell you over and over again that decency is on the ballot. Well, if it is, you can't vote for that woman because it's indecent that you ignore Gold Star families. It's inhumane. It's disgusting that we have a president and a vice president who won't show up for these poor families, won't apologize, won't explain, won't tell them why their loved ones had to die that day, why we had to rush and to get out of Afghanistan, to abandon Bagram, to leave $85 billion in advanced U.S. weaponry, which the Taliban are now showing off in military parades. I can't think of a day. I mean, I don't have a vivid memory of the withdrawal from Vietnam, on the roof, getting in the chopper, the last people out of Saigon. But I have a vivid memory of this day when we learned that 13 men and women were blown up so Joe Biden could have a talking point before 9/11. This to me is disqualifying in and of itself. Right now, today, Kamala Harris should have to explain, should have to say why she thought this was a good idea and why Joe Biden called it an extraordinary success. That's what he called this day, August 26th, 2021, an extraordinary success. He says that when you have these families who are just destroyed, their lives ruined because their loved one, I believe 5 of them were under 21, kids that they sent to serve in the U.S. military, and they were served up to some psycho suicide bomber in Taliban, in Afghanistan, as we handed the country over to the Taliban. Well, the lying will continue until you vote for Kamala Harris. The lying will continue until you believe that she's the one who's going to fix the economy and change the direction the country's going in. It is an incredible thing to see. The media is at once going to tell you she's going to fix things, and then they're going to say things aren't so bad. The economy's great, the best in the world, but if you vote for her, she'll fix it. It's bizarre. It's crazy what we're living through right now. And the media had to work overtime over the weekend. It must be tough. Middle of August, summertime, they probably want to be on the Hamptons. They want to be hiking in Montana, but they have to stay in D.C. and New York because their girl, Kamala Harris, needs them right now. She's not campaigning. She's not doing interviews. She's not taking questions. They're going to do it for her. And they had a tough task this weekend. It was to try to convince you that RFK Jr. is some kind of sellout, that he's betraying his family. Well, you know what? I think that's true. I watched his his event, his rally with Trump on Friday, and then I watched his interviews, and he is betraying the family, and that's a good thing because the family is a bunch of inbred morons who don't care. They're just these dyed-in-the-wool Democrats who don't care what Biden and Harris have done to this country. They just hate Trump, and they want you to believe JFK and RFK Sr., they would support Kamala Harris. They'd support price controls, and they'd support DEI and transing children and opening the border. When RFK got into the race, I think it was 9 months ago, I thought he would be a problem for Donald Trump because he makes sense. He's got some crazy ideas. He's got a checkered past. He's talked about it. He's written about it. He was a heroin addict. Hell, he was a drug dealer 50 years ago. And Morning Joe is talking about that today, that he was a drug dealer at Harvard 50 years ago. Well, today, RFK Jr. is showing more guts, more integrity, more balls than any Kennedy I can remember. It takes real guts to do what he did, endorse Trump. And the idea that these idiots in the media and these idiots in his family, the idea that he is somehow turning on them. So what? Good. You should turn on them. He makes sense. He's smart as hell. He doesn't need a teleprompter. He's a good writer. He's a thinker. He's a guy with actual independent thoughts. You don't have to agree with all of them, but you know what? The big ones, as I said 9 months ago, the big ones are why he had to endorse Trump. You want him to endorse Kamala Harris at this point? Well, let's just quickly review the three things we talked about when he initially announced his candidacy. He wants to end the war in Ukraine. That's a damn good idea. Kamala Harris wants to keep it going, keep sending billions and billions to this pointless war in Ukraine. He wants to close the border. Wow, that's a pretty good idea. No more illegal aliens taking people's jobs and taking their money and ruining their neighborhoods. No more gang members and drug dealers and terrorists pouring over the border. Wow, that's really betraying JFK and RFK, isn't it? To close the border. And of course, he wants to stop the censorship. How can that be controversial? How can anyone disagree with that? Do you know what the first thing Joe Biden did when he was elected in January, when we took office in January of 2021? He censored Robert Kennedy Jr. 13 hours after he was sworn in, his people reached out to big tech, their friends in big tech, and said, we have to stop this man. You want that guy to endorse the people who censored him, who shut him down, who tried to stop him from talking? You want him to say, let bygones be bygones. Let's just move past it. The idea that RFK Jr. would somehow support, vote for, endorse the very people who tried to stop him, who succeeded in stop him from communicating, from sharing his ideas, from talking. They wanted to stop him from expressing his opinions, from expressing his First Amendment rights. That's what they did. And these morons in his family think he's betraying his ideals, his principles. He's doing the exact opposite. He said in that rally that Trump and he agreed that they could continue to criticize each other because they disagree on some things. I mean, he's pro-abortion. He believes that climate change is a crisis. He's got some wacky ideas. But the big ones which should decide this election, he's all on board with the MAGA agenda. And he is a real threat to these people because he's smart, because he thinks, because he wants what's best for the country. And they want him not just to support their girl. They want him to shut up. That's what they want. They want him to shut. They want anybody who disagrees with them to just shut up, and they will do what it takes, as we've seen the last 3.5 years. They will do whatever it takes to stop him. They sued him, I believe, 9 times. They kicked him off the ballot. They wouldn't let him in on the debates. Hell, he wanted to challenge Joe Biden for the Democrat nomination, and they stopped him at every turn. There will be no challenges. These same people are going to tell you over and over that Trump's a threat to democracy. They are doing anything they can to elect a woman who got no votes, who won no primaries, and who was a total disaster when she ran on her own 4 years ago, who was polling at 1%, who dropped out before the first primary, who everyone agreed, who was losing to Tom Steyer and Amy Klobuchar. That woman is now reborn. She's different now. She's exciting. She's got joy. They want him, the guy that she tried to ruin, a guy they wouldn't allow on the ballot, to support her. It is maddening what we're living through right now. What does Kamala Harris think of this? What does she think of the Afghan withdrawal? Did she flip flop on that? She think it's a mistake now that the decision she supported? We don't know. We won't know. She won't talk. Her surrogates will leak things to the media. That is now good enough for the media. We are now witnessing journalists against journalism. They don't want to know. They don't want her to talk. They want her to stay silent. Just keep quiet. Just keep hiding. Well, RFK is a threat, not just because he's supporting Trump, but because he's not going to shut up. He's promising to campaign for Trump, and he's promising there will be others like him, independent thinkers who know what a disaster a Harris administration would be for the country. All right, let's get to RFK. I want to get to his family. Let's do his family. Well, I'll do this one first. RFK Jr. on Fox News, which is the only place that will have him. This was fascinating. RFK Jr. points out that when Ross Perot ran against Bush and Clinton, he did 34 interviews on network TV, on ABC, CBS, NBC, CNN. 34 interviews in 10 months. RFK Jr. has been campaigning for 16 months. He's appeared on those networks twice. There was a blackout in service of the Biden-Harris administration. Stop him. Don't talk to him. Now, you don't have to like him. You have to admit he's an interesting guy. He's a thoughtful guy. It used to be, they used to think that's why you put someone on the air, because they're a good interview, a good guest. No more. Interviews now are based on how much it will hurt Trump, how much it will hurt Harris. 2 interviews in 16 months. His sister, Kerry Kennedy, did a big interview on MSNBC over the weekend, and she's welcome anywhere because she doesn't like her brother. She doesn't want him to be heard. So she'll be on. His other half-wit cousins and siblings, they're welcome anytime. Not RFK Jr. That tells you all you need to know about the mainstream media at this point. No interviews. Let's not hear from him. That is just so un-American and just so wrong. Have him on. Ask him tough questions. Jen Psaki, Joe Scarborough. Why not? If he's a nut, he would be easy to expose. Ask him tough questions. See what happens. No, we can't do that. You know why? Because the Harris campaign will be pissed at us, and we might lose access to whoever. I don't know who. Her surrogates. Certainly not her. But here's RFK with Shannon Bream on Fox News yesterday.
President Trump had been reaching out to me, and I talked to him a few hours after the assassination attempt, and we had a long conversation by phone. I then had 2 extensive meetings, and there were issues, the broad issues that were most important to me, the ones that brought me into the campaign, which was ending the Ukraine war, ending the censorship, and protecting children's health. We're all reforming our food supply, all the things that we need to do to make our children healthy again. Those are all things that President Trump also wanted to work on. And he invited me to form a unity government. We agreed that we'd be able to continue to criticize each other on issues on which we don't agree. But these issues are so important in their way of unifying our country. We need in this country to reach a point where we love our children more than we hate each other.
That is a good line right there. So he gets his pet issue, children's health, the food supply. And Trump gets a guy who wants to end the war, end censorship, take on big tech. It's a good partnership. And I'm looking forward to him hitting the campaign trail and appearing on Newsmax and Fox News and New York Post. Because the blackout will continue. It must. All right, we'll get to his worthless family. How can you respect a Kennedy who just says, I'm a Kennedy, so I'm going to support the Democrat? These people don't have independent thoughts. They're not like him. They don't have any balls. They don't have any guts. By the way, You know, the first thing the Harris-Biden administration did when RFK withdrew from the race and said he's going to support Trump, they withdrew Secret Service protection. They want him dead. His life is more in danger today than it was a week ago. He's a Trump guy now. And yet they will not provide Secret Service protection. They want him dead just like they want Trump dead. These are despicable, rotten, diabolical people. We'll get to this crew of inbreds, these Kennedy people, and what they have to say about their brother. Oh, and we got another big lie from Tim Walz. Is there anything? It's going to be easier to list the things he hasn't lied about. This guy is a total disaster. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
All right, the Kennedys are welcome anytime on MSNBC. Here's Jen Psaki talking to Kerry Kennedy, and she's explaining how RFK Jr. is a sellout and a traitor to the family name. God, I hate these people.
You know, I think this is really the stakes this November couldn't be higher, which is exactly why my whole family will be fighting so hard to reelect Kamala Harris and Coach Walz, who've been champions for the values that my family has fought for years. Donald Trump is the polar opposite. He's a threat to the most basic freedoms that are core to who we are as Americans, the right for women to control our bodies, the right to live in communities safe from gun violence, to love who you love. And I think if my dad were alive today, the real Robert Kennedy would have detested almost everything Donald Trump represents. His lying, his selfishness, his rage, his cynicism, hatred, racism, fascist sympathies, deliberate misinformation about vaccines, criminal felony convictions. Daddy was the Attorney General of the United States. His rape of E. Jean Carroll, his contempt for war and suffering, for ethics, democracy, healing, his cruel sneering at human rights for suffering people in America and around the world. And these are the causes that was loved so passionately by the real Robert Kennedy. So I'm outraged and disgusted by my brother's gaudy and obscene embrace of Donald Trump. And I completely.
First of all, I mean, you're doing this to your brother. What a despicable person. You want to stay on the sidelines, fine. Your brother is in the arena. He's fighting for children's health. He's fighting to end war, a war his son fought in, by the way. He's got real courage in this day and age. A Kennedy stepping out of line and supporting a guy who wants to end war and close the border. You think RFK Sr., you think Dad would have supported a wide open border and terrorists and gang members coming into this country? You moron. You're right. She's reading the whole thing. And I'm sorry. The whole thing is infuriating. But the rape of E. Jean Carroll, now we all know, every honest person knows that never happened. It was the worst case. She proved nothing. He did not rape her. She couldn't even remember the year it happened. It was completely made up, and he was railroaded. We know that. I don't know. I would say the sister of Ted Kennedy Jr., Ted Kennedy Sr., might want to stay clear of accusing someone of sexual improprieties. I don't remember hearing from this woman when Ted Kennedy killed a woman, when Willie Smith Kennedy raped a woman in Palm Beach. Much more evidence for that than E. Jean Carroll. I don't remember her speaking out against Michael Skakel or Patches Kennedy, who was driving drunk on Capitol Hill. I don't remember her speaking out against the sexual proclivities of this whole worthless family. But now that RFK wants to end the war and close the border, that's a bridge too far. That's too much for her. I got to say, though, I don't think these people have any influence. I mean, they're just Nepo babies, inbred Nepo babies. Their grandfather was a bootlegger and a rum runner, which, as somebody pointed out, is the equivalent of a drug dealer. He made a fortune. They inherited a fortune. They've accomplished nothing in their worthless lives, nothing. And now they're upset because a guy who wants to close the border, end the war, stop the censorship, fix the economy is a threat to the Democrat Party. Watch these despicable people and tell me they have any influence anymore. It's kind of sad, actually. Go ahead.
My name is Joe Kennedy.
I'm Carrie Kennedy.
Troy Kennedy. Kathleen Kennedy Townsend.
Chris Kennedy.
And I'm here to proudly endorse Joe Biden.
Joe Biden. Joe Biden.
Our future is on the ballot in a way in which we haven't seen in generations.
The only way to win this election is for everybody to go out and vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris.
When I think of modern politicians in our country in this century, I think Joe Biden is the RFK of his generation.
Oh, God, I'm going to vomit.
Believes
in democracy, believes in freedom. These awful people. Look at this woman on the screen right now. These people they have a name. They have a name. They have a famous father, famous grandfather, and they think they have some kind of influence. Well, keep it up. I hope these mutants go out on the campaign trail. Each one, as somebody pointed out, I think it was Cerno on Twitter. They look like extras from The Hills Have Eyes. They look like zombies from some zombie movie from World War X. That's what these people look like. You can have them, Kamala. They're yours. We got RFK Jr. and RFK Jr. has balls. And I'm looking forward to him and others stepping up and challenging you. By the way, they'll all be on MSNBC and CNN. They're all welcome anytime. But the guy who actually writes books and fights for what he believes in, for children's health and a clean environment, all those things, the guy who's in the arena taking chances every day, risking his life, they hate him. They hate him. These are just despicable people. Can you imagine doing that? I've been around my family a lot in the last couple of weeks, my extended family. Lots of Democrats, we disagree. I can't imagine turning on and saying, I'm going to call him a traitor. I'm going to say he betrayed my family because he's voting for somebody else. What a bunch of scum. They are just scum. Kennedys are truly despicable people. All right, do we have, I want to get to, we got to get to the media's effort over the weekend. I mean, it's just so shallow and just so despicable what they're doing. Again, they know Kamala Harris has no respect for them. They know she's using them. They know it's been 36 days. By the way, she never did any press conferences or interviews before she was anointed the candidate. She hasn't done a press conference on American soil for her entire term, for 3.5 years as vice president. She did a press conference in Europe. She botched that one. She hasn't done one here at all. She's just going to hide. And they know she can't handle a simple Q&A. They promised an interview before the end of the month. Well, that's in 5 days. I assume they're trying to decide whether Jonathan Karl or George Stephanopoulos or Rachel Maddow, who will give her the best foot massage. That's what they're trying to figure out. Who will slobber over the most? She will do an interview and then they'll say, see, she's not afraid. She'll do an interview. Donald Trump will talk to anybody. RFK Jr., he wants to sit down and talk to the enemy, which is the mainstream media, and they won't have him. They're too busy protecting their girl. But let's get to, we got so much here. Let's get to Tom Cotton with Jonathan Karl. Jonathan Karl is the worst. I used to think Stephanopoulos is pretty bad too. But, I mean, these are just Harris campaign workers. That's all they are. These are just political operatives pretending to be journalists who don't even care that every week they get exposed as just dishonest brokers, as just shills, stooges, lickspittles for one candidate over the other. They're not even pretending anymore. They are so corrupt, so dishonest, so despicable that all they do now is bring on J.D. Vance or Tom Cotton or Donald Trump and lie, just lie. They want you to believe Kamala Harris is fit for the job, that she's not an extremist, that she's not a socialist, that she doesn't hold these policies, these crazy policies like price controls and 45% capital gains tax and 28% corporate tax, and these policies that will be so destructive. They need to lie. They need to propagandize on behalf of her, and they will stop at nothing. Tom Cotton was great here, telling Carl the truth about Kamala Harris. And Carl, he doesn't like that. He does not like that. He wants you to believe she's a moderate. Let's listen to Tom Cotton and Harris surrogate Jonathan Karl.
And President Trump is going to draw a sharp contrast with Kamala Harris, who has supported things like decriminalizing illegal immigration or giving taxpayer-funded health insurance to illegal aliens or taking away health insurance on the job for 170 million Americans, banning gas cars, confiscating firearms.
What do you mean taking away health insurance? What are you talking about?
She said when she ran for president that she wants to eliminate private health insurance on the job, 170 million Americans, John.
Yeah, I mean that is not her position now. She knows.
How do you know that's not her position? How do you know that's not her position?
I mean, she says she no longer supports Medicare for all.
She has not said that. Maybe anonymous aides on a Friday night have said that, but the last thing that she said.
But this was not a radical convention. I mean, she as you heard me go through with Bernie Sanders, she is not taking the positions of the far left of her party. She's clearly making an effort to move to the middle.
I did hear what you said to Senator Sanders, and I thought it was clear that he's very disappointed that she's taking these efforts not to change her positions, but to hide her positions, John. The American people are totally justified to conclude that Kamala Harris is a dangerous San Francisco liberal based on what she campaigned on the last time she ran for president and what this administration has done for the last 4 years. Again, you would have thought watching the Democratic convention last week that the Democrats are not in office, that they're not in power, that they're campaigning against an incumbent Republican, when in reality, she's been part of the failures of the Biden-Harris administration for 4 years. And when she campaigned for president, in her own right, she did in fact promise things like decriminalizing illegal immigration and taking away health insurance.
But that's his position she's clearly changed on, and she said she has changed. Yes, she has.
No, she has not. John, she has not said that.
It's unbelievable. Jonathan Karl himself has said in the past she wants to eliminate private health insurance. And now he's saying, she changed that. When was that, Jonathan? When did she change that position? An anonymous aide said she co-sponsored a bill with Bernie Sanders to eliminate private health insurance. She said it while campaigning for president when she wasn't hiding. She had to actually make appearances, do town halls, do interviews 4 years ago. And this stooge, Karl said, no, she said that. She didn't say it. He knows it. He's lying. He's either lying or he's stupid. But Tom Cotton's right. She didn't change her. She hasn't publicly disavowed that position. That's one. I know I've gone through this list many times. It's incredible. If we had an honest media, they would run down this list. We'll get to fake Jake Tapper here in a second. Banning fracking, Medicare for illegal aliens, she supported. Eliminating private health insurance, abolishing ICE, defunding the police, trans surgeries for children, just like RFK and JFK. Taxpayer-funded sex changes for prisoners, abortion up till the due date, vax mandates, reparations. You think RFK and JFK would support reparations? She supported a bail fund for criminals. She said they should not stop while they were burning cities. She supports Drag Queen Story Hour, open borders. She wants to eliminate the term Islamic terror and the term illegal alien. She wants to expand the Supreme Court. She wants EV mandates. She wants Tsarnaev to vote. She wants felons to vote. She supported the Green freaking New Deal, $93 trillion, which would destroy the U.S. economy. Do you remember that, Jonathan? She supported the Green New Deal, co-sponsored it again. She wants to ban offshore drilling, a 45% capital gains tax, and price controls. Those are her positions. She's a San Francisco radical. Tom Cotton is right, and her campaign surrogates can't take it. Here she is admitting she wants to eliminate private health insurance. Go ahead.
Just to follow up on that, and correct me if I'm wrong, to reiterate, you support the Medicare for All bill, I think initially co-sponsored by Senator Bernie Sanders. You're also a co-sponsor on it. I believe it will totally eliminate private insurance. So for people out there who like their insurance, they don't get to keep it?
Well, listen, the idea is that everyone gets access to medical care, and you don't have to go through the process of going through an insurance company, having them give you approval, going through the paperwork, all of the delay that may require. Who of us has not had that situation where you got to wait for approval and the doctor says, well, I don't know if your insurance company is going to cover this? Let's eliminate all of that.
Let's eliminate all that. Let's start over, she says. Jonathan Karl knows she said that. Jake Tapper was sitting there when she said it. And now they're going to gaslight the country for 70 more days in hopes of getting her elected. I mean, these people are just scum. They really are. But we do have, she is on record on many of these positions because she ran on them, because she was in the Senate, because she was vice president. We know where she stands. And the job now is to either flip-flop and let the media, clean it up, or just hide. It's amazing. One candidate is out there every day telling you what he wants to do, telling you he's going to close the border and drill, baby, drill, and end the war. And the other candidate is hiding from her record because it's so radical and encouraging the media to clean up the mess that has been her entire political career. That's what's going on right now. It's a fascinating thing to see. But I guess we should give her credit for the Biden-Harris administration for what they did after COVID, after most of the country died from COVID. Remember that? I mean, I know it was a tough time, but I didn't quite recall just how devastating the COVID pandemic was. Listen to this moron.
We're in the middle of a crisis caused by this pandemic that is a public health crisis. We're looking at over 220 million Americans who just in the last several months died. We are in the midst of a public health epidemic that has taken the lives of over 220 million Americans in just the last several months.
That's unbelievable. Most of the country dead from COVID. That's the other thing they're afraid of. We get to see just how radical she is. We also get to see just how unintelligent she is. Imagine being those astronauts, Ironhead. Imagine being those two astronauts trapped up in space, hoping Elon Musk comes and saves you. They're stuck there till February.
Well, she is on record really loving space. Don't forget.
That's true. She is. That's her job, by the way. As vice president, she was supposed to oversee the space program. And right now, the space program has a little crisis on its hands as two astronauts are trapped up there for another 6 months. Let's revisit Kamala Harris's take on space. She's fascinated. She's almost as fascinated by space as she was with electric school buses and Venn diagrams. This is incredible. This scene, these are actors. They hired these child actors to sit there. This is an actual White House event, a Biden-Harris administration event. Let's show everyone how much Kamala cares about space. Watch this.
I just love the idea of exploring the unknown. And then there's other things that we just haven't figured out or discovered yet. You guys are going to see. You're going to literally see the craters on the moon with your own eyes. Oh my goodness. With your own eyes. I'm telling you, it is going to be unbelievable. It gives us a sense of the magnitude of it all. Earth is kind of small. Yeah. Right? The Earth is like a speck. Yeah. Compared to the sun. What we have designed, look at the design of this thing. And the people, and the smart people, and the scientists, and the engineers came up with the idea that if you build something that looks like that, you can see the sun. Yeah. And you can see the moon, right? Well, wait till you guys see the moon. I'm telling you. I don't know what it is about those craters on the moon. Always dream with ambition. Have big dreams. You'll remember that?
Yes.
All right.
Very nice to meet you.
Oh my God. Sorry, guy. Sorry, lady with the crazy hair stuck up in space. You're not coming down. Maybe Trump will get you down. Maybe Elon Musk working with Trump will get you down. But this half-wit has no idea. You get to see space with your own eyes. Your own eyes. Dog catcher. You wouldn't vote for her for dog catcher or town clerk. She's not smart enough.
If those were one of my kids, I would be like, hey, don't talk to my kids like that, please.
Speaking of people you don't want to talk to your kids like that, Tim Walz, it just never ends. The list, I read this to someone the other day, the list of lies this guy has told to advance his career. Again, all politicians lie. Some lie about their golf score or their crowd size. Others lie about their military service and fighting in wars, and they lie about their rank. They lie about their coaching career, all to advance their political career. Just like Liz Warren lied about her ethnicity to advance her career, and it worked. Well, this guy, he became a congressman. He became a governor, all by lying to the public. And we got the latest and just add it to the list. We'll get to that and more, but first.
Excuse me.
I was talking to someone the other day. I like Tim Walz. He just seems like a regular guy. I said, regular guy? Do regular guys lie about every aspect of their life? This is from the Free Beacon, who actually, covers the Walz-Harris team. Tim Walz launched his 2006 campaign for Congress when he boasted in his public biography that he was, quote, named the outstanding young Nebraskan by the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce for his service in education, military, and small business. That was not true. He just made it up. The Nebraska Chamber of Commerce had to write a letter. It was in his biography. They had to write a letter and say, you didn't win that, sir. You have to take that down. I mean, he just makes stuff up and thinks you're not going to notice. And you know why we haven't noticed till now? Because the Minnesota media is completely in the tank for this guy. There he is, the letter from the Chamber of Commerce saying, it's come to our attention that as part of your campaign, you have posted your biography on your website that you received an award from the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce. This is not true. Please take it down. He doesn't. Oh, by the way, you got to see this. I don't know if I sent this one to you, Ironhead. This is incredible. Do we have time for this? I hope we do. Today's National Dog Day, Ironhead. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
It is National Dog Day. You're supposed to celebrate your dog. And so we're going to wait to see who Tim Walz, who he posts a picture with, or who he posts as his dog. I'm going to send you this. It's incredible. He's lying about his dog. A guy who lies about everything, lies about his dog. I want to play this whole thing if I can get it to you. A guy, let me send this to you. He's posted about a dog named Scout, and it's not the same dog. He has two different dogs, like 4 months apart, and he posted these cutesy photos of him with his dog. I don't think he has a dog. I think he's making it up. And again, this is not a big deal, but I do think it's a look into the mind, into the soul of this pathological liar who lies about everything. How his children were conceived, his military rank, his career as a coach, which again, he lost his coaching. He was an assistant coach 20 years ago. He lost his job because he drove drunk at 96 miles an hour. He lost the paid coaching gig. And then he turns around 20 years later, brings out some kids he coached 20 years ago and wants you to call him coach. Here is the investigation into Doggate. Tim Walz, I don't know if this has any traction, but it made me laugh out loud. Watch this.
Do any of you know what breed and color Tim Walz's dog Scout is? I'm only asking because I can tell you who doesn't know. Tim Walz. Let me show you what I mean. So this is from Tim Walz's official Twitter account. It's back in 2022 when he's running to be the governor of Minnesota. On June 15th of 2022, he posted this, sending a special birthday shout out to our favorite pup, Scout. And then they posted a picture of him, apparently with his dog, Scout. Very beautiful dog, very endearing photo. But then just 4 months later on the same official account, this is October 19th of 2022. He said, couldn't think of a better way to spend a beautiful fall day than at the dog park. I know Scout enjoyed it. And this was the picture he posted with it. So is this Scout or is this Scout? Or is neither of them Scout? Because if this is Scout, and I guess Scout decided to wear blackface this day, which would be totally not cool. My question is, does Tim Walz even actually have a dog? Or is this shit just photo ops? Is he just grabbing dogs to take photos with so that he can seem like a normal guy? Am I the only one that thinks this shit is weird? 4 months apart, 2 different dogs, yet somehow both are Scout? Just curious what the fuck is going on.
That's from a account called Insurrection Barbie, and that is a good breakdown. 4 months apart, he posts pictures pretending that's his dog. Well, one of them might be his dog, but they can't both be his dog unless he has 2 dogs named Scout. He's sick. Walz is a sicko. We've all known kids, like when I was a kid, you knew like when you were like 12, kids who would just make up stories and lie about, their family and where they went on vacation and lie about sports and lie about their girlfriend from Canada. That's Tim Walz. He lies about everything. He's pathological. He doesn't have a dog. He's just like Biden with the German Shepherds, pretending he has a dog because it looks good in the campaign posters. Here's my dog Scout. 4 months later, different. What's your theory, Ironhead? Your dog.
I think it's because like every politician has to have like a family dog for some reason to make them seem human. But interchanging them and keeping the name is a slip up they should have probably been aware of, especially like a beautiful black lab like that or whatever that dog was.
Well, one of them was beautiful black lab. We don't know which. I mean, is it the kids?
It was like a black lab and then a beagle. It was not even
the kids. His 2 kids at the convention. You think they're actually his kids? The wife, is she actually his wife? Are they all props? I'm telling you, the Harris Walz campaign, and their surrogates in the media are going to have to work overtime because I think this is the tip of the iceberg. I really think we're going to find out so more about this creep, this weirdo, this crackpot, Tim Walz. All right, we'll finish with this. I need you to help me with this. This was making the rounds on X yesterday. I guess it's a promotional video for, I don't know, Jimmy Kimmel or Jimmy Fallon, one of the late night, there's the guests. And it's supposed to be, I don't know, funny. I don't get it. I need some help. It's a video that features Hillary Clinton and Pete Buttigieg and AOC doing a little dance. Maybe someone on the chat line.
There's also a very big fish out of water in this video.
Yes, there's one person in this video that doesn't belong. You know why? Because she's really attractive. She stands out. But I'm telling you, I saw this and I started reading the comments, trying to figure it out. I still don't know what the hell it is. Go ahead, play it.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise, playing in the street, gonna be a big man someday.
What is that? What is that?
I have no idea.
Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and Melania doing this little dance and then pointing over to the next person. Anyone know what that is? I don't know.
It's almost like she's endorsing Kamala with this video. Like, I don't get it.
All right, I have a minute. I'm going to do this story because it's the most infuriating thing you will hear today. I promise you. Maybe the whole week, the whole year. And this is what Tim Walz and Kamala Harris support. This is happening. I know Democrats in general don't want to believe it's happening. It is happening. This is from the Daily Mail. A military family who lost custody of their autistic son after they refused to transition his gender are suing a major DC hospital. The family said their boy had never shown any desire to become a girl until at 16. He was hospitalized for self-harming after a breakup with his girlfriend. The staff at Children's National Hospital informed the family that he wanted to be female and should be referred to as she, her. His Army veteran parents from Prince George County, Maryland, rejected the suggestion, saying their son was impressionable due to him being autistic. They've accused the hospital of starting a full-on campaign to transgender the child and accused the staff of mentally reprogramming their son. And they force him to write letters to friends disavowing his male identity. They took custody of the child because his parents wouldn't agree that he was actually a girl, that he was born in the wrong body. That is absolute madness. It's happening in DC, in our nation's capital, and Kamala Harris and Tim Walz support that. I'm going to guess, I would say 85, 90% of the public would be against that. That should be an issue. I want it to be an issue because it shows just how radical and insane these people are. Speaking of autistic kids, we saw a few of them over the weekend. We buried my sister. We said goodbye to my sister, Dee Dee, who was a special needs teacher in Boston for 30 years. She was just a wonderful person, a very, very nice, good, gentle soul who took care of autistic kids. And some of them showed up at the wake, and it just made me think, thank God for people like my sister, because I know I couldn't do it. I know. And lots of people showed up to pay their respects, including this moron you're looking at right there. Ironhead, you have your flaws, but that was very nice of you. Thank you for showing up. And I know you could relate to the challenges that Dee Dee faced every day, but it was quite a turnout. And I don't know how she did it, but it takes a special kind of person, and that's what she was. And thank you, Ironhead, for showing up. Everyone's like, is that Ironhead? I said, yeah, but you can call him Craig for today.
Just today.
You can call him Craig, but that was nice of you. Not many people would make the effort on a Friday night in August to make an appearance, but I know you could relate. I know you had, you understood what my sister did all those years for kids in Boston. But thank you to everybody, to Paul and to everybody who has sent their condolences. I appreciate it. It was a tough weekend, but it was a very fitting farewell to a special person. So thanks again to everybody. Thank you, Ironhead. And I mean it. Thank you. I usually just say it, but today I really mean it. Thanks, Ironhead. Thanks for listening, everybody. I'm Jerry Callahan. This is the Callahan